Grant, I want to talk a bit about the way that Ted Haggard began to talk to you about sex and about his own sexual desires, and then he would go into a total sort of repenting mode and kind of say he was sorry and say that it was wrong and he was trying to get this out of him. Talk about that first time he began to talk to you about sex and send you these text messages about sex.
Yeah, the first time it became sexual was in January of 2006. And I just started getting these text messages from him. He was like in Wisconsin somewhere. He's driving back to Chicago to fly out of the airport. He pretty much started asking me about my relationship with my boyfriend, about what kind of sexual things we like to do in bed. He started asking me if I ever used drugs, what kind of toys, if I used toys in bed, things like that. And he said he was with another pastor too at the time,
and this is when he explained to you his party formula. He talked about mixing crystal meth, poppers, and Viagra, and then renting porn.
Correct. Yep. The first time was later that month. He started texting me. He was in the airport in L.A. in like a red carpet room kind of a deal. And he's like, the room's spinning, and I did way too much. And I'm like, way too much of what? And he's like, oh, I took too much meth. I did too much of the party formula. And I kind of was like, well, what's the party formula? He said it's, he pretty much gets high, he takes a bunch of Viagra, takes a bunch of poppers, and masturbates to porn, for hours. Sometimes alone, sometimes with other guys.
So he would spend hours masturbating to porn, but also he told you about other people who would be involved too.
Yeah. He would tell me that sometimes he would go to parties. That's kind of where that whole squirt.org website fell in, because I guess that's where he said he would go to find parties or to meet up with people who would be willing to kind of do this with him.
Now, you then experienced with him this constant, though he would tell you about this, but then at another moment, or even sometimes within the same conversation, he would pull back and say, no, this is wrong. He actually told you in that conversation, when he was telling you about the party formula, he then, and about what was happening at LAX and how he'd done too much meth and he got too high, he was then also telling you that, he started asking you about, you started asking him about porn, and then he pulled back and said, he changed his tone and began telling you that you needed to find a woman and get married. And then he suggested somebody who you should call.
Yeah, he actually gave me his daughter's cell phone number, and he's like, oh, you should, really look into dating my daughter. She's single. Gave me her phone number.
He was telling you to date his daughter in order to try to become heterosexual.
Correct, yeah.
And gave you her number.
Yeah. I'm sure I can imagine what was going through his mind. He was probably thinking, okay, well, this will work out great. Grant can date my daughter, and he'll be my friend, and I can still share all this with him.
He was also telling you at this time about one particular porn film that he was obsessed over as well. Greek Holiday.
Yeah, Greek Holiday. He kept texting me. He's like, oh, I just got done having a Greek holiday. And he wouldn't tell me what it was. Later I found out it was a porn film where it looked like 18 to 23-year-old men were doing different sports activities, and afterwards they would pretty much have sex with each other. It, kind of had a correlation to the 24/7 group that he always enjoyed watching.
Now, in that regard, with this Greek holiday, he'd obsess about it, but then at one point he decided, and again, it would be in these moments when he would be repenting and say he had to get over all of this, he actually then gave you the film in order to get it out of his possession, or made sure you could. He threw it in the garbage and told you where to find it.
Yeah, he threw it in the garbage at a gas station by my hotel. Because we go running every morning. I would go running with him. Sometimes my friend, Will was my roommate at the time. He would join me, and we'd all go running together. And he told me that after we ran, that, oh, you left me a gift in the garbage can at the Conoco by my apartment. And I'm like, okay. So I had Will go get it out of the garbage can, because I was on the other side of town, and inside of it was like a Greek holiday, like this movie called like Alpine Adventures or something, and then one other movie too. I can't remember what it was.
But this was, he wanted you to keep it because he didn't want it anymore. He wanted to get over this and get away from this.
Yeah.
But then so he wanted it back again.
Yeah. He was texting Will a lot at that point, and he told Will, he's like, oh, I need to come get that. He's like, Grant told me that you guys have it, and I need it back so I can destroy it. Because,
right.
Will was working